seen that with the digital evolution, mobile number and the phone number is becoming so critical as a digital identity key. And my talk is going to be how do we make sure that the service providers understand what the best practices are, which will allow them to make their offerings much more secure and streamlined. My name is Atreedev. I'm the CEO at Denal. We have been providing digital identity and authentication services for over 4 years now out of the US, but in markets all over the world, especially in Europe and soon in Asia. What I'm going to talk about is the typical life cycle of a consumer with any service provider. And here you can see that the account creation process, then going into access, how do you provide access to the consumer, then once the access is obtained, there is either a high-value transaction being performed, or there is certain changes in the account status that is happening at the service provider. And then because of certain challenges, the customer may call up the service provider's support center. And this is all the life cycle that is happening within the service provider, be it a business who is doing a financial transaction or an e-commerce transaction or a ride-share company or what have you. But what the important part is that how do we bring the mobile number or the phone number getting associated with this account, also track the changes that happen, the event changes that happen at the mobile operator. So you see this is the mobile operators network. There is certain change events that are happening, like the number getting deactivated or ported, or addresses being changed at the mobile operator, the device is being changed, a new SIM is being added, and then there are various other attributes I've not identified here, like the tenure of the account and so on. So how do we bridge this gap between the service provider who is maintaining a life cycle and what is happening off their network at the mobile operator, where the mobile number is forming an association to this account that was created? So let's look at the challenges now the service providers face in maintaining this life cycle. So within the account creation process, you can see there are so many hacks that can happen with synthetic IDs and application fraud, where stolen identities are being used for the creation or identity theft. Then within the login for access control, the service providers have to look at all these various types of fraud with stolen credentials or phishing attacks and so on. Many of them do two-factor. Tuli was talking about doing two-factor either with OTP or with email. Even those are getting hacked with SMS forwarding, spoofing, device malwares, etc. And then once the transactions are occurring on those accounts, we are seeing there are again certain issues that the service providers face. And then when people are calling in to those service providers, they are giving, again, they are spamming or they are social engineering somebody else's identity and calling into the service provider. Now, all these challenges also, there is the factor of stale data and then account takeover, which might happen both at the service provider or at the mobile operator. And what are the guards and what are the best practices that the service providers as well as the mobile operators need to consider is what I'm going to talk about further. So we have, for every use case that we have heard so far today, we are going to talk about the challenges and how the mobile identity platform that Denal offers provides certain solutions so that the service providers can take account to protect their subscribers. So we spoke about those different challenges, and then we heard that hey, document scanning, both at JND's presentation as well as Tulio's presentation, document scanning is a good way as a best practice to do a step-up authentication. Biometrics as a part of authentication, but knowing who the person is truly before making sure that you're collecting their biometrics is also very critical. So it cannot be done that you're establishing biometrics without having done the document scanning verification, because then a fraudster could have gotten into your account. Additionally, we are recommending phone verification and profile match. Profile match is nothing but the eKYC that we have been talking about, and the phone verification is how we can utilize many of the attributes, both static and dynamic, that the mobile operators have to make intelligent decisions on, hey, is this account looking good? If it is, let's baseline this account so that at a future time you can compare against that baseline to see what has changed about that subscriber. And then, this is exactly what I spoke about. And as part of that account creation or account registration process, we are recommending, the document getting verified, the data that has been extracted, or OCR, that is getting verified with the user's information, be it the face that is matching with the photograph, or be it a video ident where an agent is verifying that the person is who they say they are over a live session. And then the phone number and all the information that can be obtained from the mobile operator to baseline that's a reliable customer, right? And once that has been done with all the three modalities, you know that, hey, I can go along providing service to this consumer with various levels of assurance. I'll just let you quickly glance through the benefits before I move into the next use case. For authentication, we have seen many of our customers come to us, like the money remitters and the banks, saying that, hey, these two-factor authentication over SMS has been compromised pretty significantly. How can we have an alternative? The password is archaic. It is a big challenge for the industry, as we all know. User experience using single sign-on, it has its own challenges with redirections, etc. There are device malwares, and also the mobile operators SS7, which is the signaling channel, are getting hacked. So how do we protect against all of this? The best practice solutions that we are suggesting to the market is that the service providers take account of the OTP hacks and therefore do a phone verification and compare with the baseline that you have initially created at the time of account creation, so that you know, hey, is this user the same based on their SIM, device, account, number, as well as tenure of that account with both the mobile operator and how much time they have spent on your service. So here is all the challenges with SMS OTP authentication, and you can see, both from a user experience as well as the challenges that one has to go through. And with the network-based two-factor authentication, we spoke about, I think this was spoken about in the morning, that header enrichment is compromised because it is open, it is on HTTP. We have solved for that in various of the markets that we provide our service. We provide HTTPS-based network authentication, which allows seamless user experience. It is for-proof, the device and app agnostic, so the users do not have to do something that they have to download an app or they have to do a pre-registration. They can quickly do a one-step process to verify themselves because the mobile operator already knows who the SIM and the device belongs to, and it is registered on the network. And they can verify with that information that, hey, does the user have possession of that device and the SIM, and if the account is in good standing. If all that comes true, then the service provider can also say that, yeah, this is a good customer. The benefits of utilizing this, I'll not go through it, I'll just, because I'm also short on time, these slides will be available, so we can talk about it at a later point as well. So this is bolstering of the OTP. If somebody says that, hey, no, I have already the OTP, the one-time PIN authentication established, we also help those companies with how can they bolster that so that it doesn't become a challenge that, I really know the person, I know the phone number, I know the account, so I can send a OTP. Those verifications can be done real time before OTP is sent to the user. Here there are various checks that are being performed. First, the number that is in question, what is the type of number? Is it a VoIP, landline, or a mobile? Then if it is a mobile, then hey, what is the mobile network account status? What is the status of that phone number on that at the mobile operator? When was that number last ported? Whether it is prepaid or postpaid, primary or secondary, because it could be a primary account or a family account where the children or the spouse is using the number. Whether the call forwarding and the voicemail password has been enabled on those accounts. These are risk flags. There are a lot of scenarios where we have seen breaches happen when the service provider actually makes a physical call to the consumer to verify that, hey, is that you who I'm trying to reach? But what happens is, because call forwarding is on, the fraudster has already gone into that account and forwarded those calls to himself. So when the service provider or the bank is calling the customer, they are actually reaching the fraudster who is impersonating this user, right? So we also check for those flags to make sure that the service providers, be it the bank or insurance company, can take real measures to make the decision. And I spoke about the account tenure. We are seeing that, hey, the smaller the tenure, the higher the risk. So proportional measures could be taken. If the account has just been created, it is susceptible to fraud. Whereas if the tenure is long and the account is in good standing at the mobile operator, we know that the mitigation can be easily done. Again, the benefits. And then for fraud prevention, specifically for a high-value transaction, what are the best practices? Because here the challenges are the real-time decisioning needs to be done, the context needs to be understood that, hey, if we are seeing 10 transactions happening and because of velocity check the transactions are getting cancelled, how can we help the service provider overcome such a challenge? Offline and to online, if somebody is doing a transaction at a point of sale and now they took the transaction over to digital and trying to do it online, can we make sure that the person who was doing the physical transaction is also the same person doing the digital transaction? And these are certain challenges that every financial institution will be very well versed. So real-time profile match. The mobile ID platform provides services which allow real-time, just like what Truly was talking about. There's a real-time verification that, hey, can we verify this identity with a digital, with the authoritative source in less than a second. This is something many of our banking customers, as well as many of the ride-share companies are utilizing for both making sure that, if say, for example, a ride-share company wants to verify that the driver is indeed that driver who had signed up for the service, how can we make sure that they are not giving the car to a friend to drive along and impersonating them? So, there are so many use cases that we face where we are seeing that this verification, along with the baseline check that yes, the person has a biometrics and the biometrics is also getting verified, provides the real identity of who is providing or utilizing the service. And then real-time decisioning attributes, I'll just go into over here. So you see the denial fraud suite has all these: phone verification, real-time profile match, real-time decisioning attributes, which include account check status, tenure, port date, there are also devices that could be jailbroken and so on, which again creates high-risk transactions. Checking for the, comparing with the baseline, we have been talking about, whether the device is the same, the SIM card that the user had registered with, is it the same, or there has been a SIM swap, because that leads to, again, high level of fraud when we see that somebody impersonated the person and requested for a new SIM from the mobile operator, and now they are using that SIM to do different transactions. So a SIM swap also raises the propensity of fraud. So benefits again. And in summary, each of the account stages that we see that are happening at a service provider, if we can bring this information as part of this ecosystem, it creates a great symbiosis where the service providers can take advantage of what the mobile operators have to offer. With that, I will conclude. I thank GSMA for this opportunity.